My ex used to tell everyone I was broke, said I had no future, no ambition. She left me for someone richer, and they laughed about it for years. But when our old classmates planned a reunion, I decided to show up. Same face, same calm smile. The only difference? A new life, a new car, and the peace that comes with quiet success. I didn't brag. I didn't need to. I just parked outside and watched her pride fall apart, all on its own. The message popped up in the old class group chat. Class of 2012. Reunion. Can't wait to see everyone again. I stared at the screen for a minute, laughing quietly. 10 years had passed, but some memories never faded, especially Tara Mills. Back in college, she used to call me a nice guy with empty pockets. When she met a banker named Paul, she left without looking back. The last thing I heard her say about me was, "He means well, but good intentions don't pay bills." Now that same crowd was planning a reunion at a downtown hotel. Part of me wanted to ignore it. The other part, the calmer, older part, thought, maybe it's time they see what quiet success looks like. It happened on a rainy Thursday. Tara showed up at my small apartment wearing the trench coat I'd saved months to buy her. She didn't sit down. "Gabriel, we're different people," she said. "You're comfortable being average. I'm not." I just stared at her, trying to process the sentence. She added, "One day you'll thank me for pushing you to do better." A week later, she was tagged in a photo with Paul, his arm around her, captioned, "Finally dating someone who matches my energy." People laughed. I didn't respond. That night, I promised myself I'd never defend my worth to anyone again. Tara didn't just leave. She performed it. At dinners and get-togethers, she'd joke about my budget meals and recycled suits. Friends repeated her lines like gossip headlines. It hurt, but I stayed silent, because silence collects interest, and someday, it pays back more than anger ever could. I kept my small logistics job, saved every extra dollar, and waited for life to give me a reason to rise. That reason came from a man who had always believed in me when no one else did, my Uncle Henry Rowe. Uncle Henry passed away the following spring. We hadn't been close lately, but I'd always helped him with errands when he was ill. Never for money, just family. At the reading of the will, his lawyer cleared his throat and said, "To my nephew, Gabriel Rowe, for his kindness and patience, I leave my estate, investments, and car collection." The room went silent. I sat frozen between grief and disbelief. It wasn't just wealth, it was a second chance. But I didn't rush to flash it online. Instead, I paid off debts, learned to invest, and rebuilt my life, brick by brick. By the time I bought a matte black Aston Martin from Henry's garage, I still lived simply. The difference was, I no longer owed anyone an explanation for it. Lucas Hart was the only one who knew. He kept teasing me. "Bro, you've got to show Tara what she lost." I just smiled. She already knows. She just doesn't realize how much yet. When the official reunion invitation arrived, venue confirmed, RSVP link shining at the bottom, Lucas grinned. "You going?" "Yeah," I said, "but not to talk." He laughed. "Then what's the plan?" "Simple," I said, buttoning my sleeve. "I'm not making an entrance. I'm making a point." The year after Uncle Henry's funeral changed everything. I kept my old job for a while quietly. No one knew about the inheritance except Lucas. Every night after work, I'd study investments, learn property management, and talk to Henry's lawyer about how to protect what he left me. The more I learned, the less I wanted to prove anything. By spring, I'd bought a small condo downtown, restored one of Henry's vintage cars, and launched a small delivery startup. No lavish posts, no humble brag captions. Lucas laughed when he saw the new ride. "Man, Tara's gonna faint if she ever sees you pull up in that." I smiled. "Let her. I'm not chasing applause, I'm chasing peace." From mutual friends' updates, I learned Tara had gotten engaged to Paul, the banker she'd left me for. Her posts were a highlight reel. Champagne, rooftop dinners, vacations labeled number power couple. But what social media doesn't show is tone. Friends said she'd started complaining about Paul's long hours and his temper. Karma wasn't subtle, it was patient. When I saw their engagement announcement, I didn't feel bitterness, just confirmation that I'd dodged a storm disguised as luxury. Lucas said, "You could post one picture and blow her mind." I shook my head. Silence will speak when it's time. The reunion committee sent formal invites this time. Printed envelopes, gold lettering, RSVP link. I held mine for a moment, grinning. 10 years since graduation. 10 years since she'd laughed at my old car and my second-hand suit. Lucas texted, "Please tell me you're going." I replied, "Wouldn't miss it." Then I booked a detailing service for the Aston Martin, pressed my best charcoal suit, and ordered a subtle platinum watch not for show, but for closure. Some people spend years chasing revenge. I'd let mine come to me. The evening arrived faster than I expected. I stood before the mirror, adjusting my tie. Surprised by how calm I felt, Lucas showed up at my place with a grin. "Bro, you look like a CEO. Let's go make memories." We drove through the city lights, the car purring like confidence itself. At every red light, I caught my reflection in the window, no longer the man she'd mocked, just a man who'd learned patience. As we neared the hotel, I said quietly, "No speeches, no gloating." Lucas nodded. "Just presence." That word stuck, presence. Because real revenge doesn't need sound. Valet parking lights glowed across the hotel entrance. When the Aston rolled up, a few heads turned immediately. One of them was Tara's. She froze mid-conversation, champagne flute halfway to her lips. Her fiancé wasn't beside her, apparently. He'd canceled last minute. I stepped out, handed the valet my keys, and buttoned my jacket. The silence around the doorway said more than any applause could. Tara blinked, whispered my name, and for a split second, I saw realization replace pride. She'd spent years trying to rise above me, only to watch me arrive quietly at her level. And I hadn't said a single word. The room fell quiet the moment I walked in. Old classmates who hadn't noticed me in years suddenly remembered my name. Smiles turned into whispers. "Is that Gabriel Rowe? Bro, that can't be his car outside. I heard he started a company." I just nodded, shaking hands, offering calm hellos. No bragging, no explanations. The less I said, the more they filled in the blanks. Lucas leaned over and whispered, "You're trending, man." I laughed softly. "Let them wonder. It's better than telling." Tara stood across the room, eyes locked on me, pretending to chat while clutching her glass, like it might steady her. I didn't approach. Some moments are too perfect to interrupt it. It didn't take long for her to come to me. "Gabriel," she said, voice trembling slightly. "Wow, it's been ages." "Yeah," I replied calmly. "How have you been?" She smiled too quickly. "You look different." Maybe I just stopped apologizing for being me. Her smile flickered. She glanced at the watch on my wrist, the tailored suit, then toward the door where my car was parked. "You doing well, I see." I sipped my drink. "Doing fine." "You?" Her jaw tightened. "Things are complicated." Of course they were. People who trade loyalty for luxury always end up bankrupt in ways money can't fix. Later that night, she found me again on the balcony. The music inside faded, leaving only city sounds and tension. "Gabriel, can we talk?" she asked. I nodded. "Sure." She took a deep breath. "I'm sorry for how I treated you. I was young. Stupid. I thought success looked a certain way. I looked out over the skyline. We all learn." Her voice softened. "Paul and I, we broke up. He turned out to be everything you said I wasn't." I interrupted gently. She winced. "Yeah." For a long moment, I said nothing. Finally, I turned to her and smiled, not cruelly, just honestly. "Thank you," I said, "for leaving when you did. You taught me what peace feels like." Back inside, the reunion organizers called for a group toast. Tara lingered near the bar while I chatted with old friends. Someone asked what I was doing these days. Before I could answer, Lucas spoke up. "Gabriel runs a logistics firm now. Just opened a second branch. And that car outside? That's one of his uncle's classics." Heads turned again. Even the DJ paused. Tara froze, every word hitting harder than champagne bubbles. Her expression said it all, her pride collapsing under quiet truth. I didn't add anything. I just smiled, lifted my glass, and let the silence finish the speech. When the night ended, she caught me near the exit. "Gabriel," she whispered, "I don't expect you to forgive me, but I regret it all. I thought money made people valuable." I met her eyes. "You were half right. It does, but not the way you think." She frowned. "What do you mean? Money doesn't make you better," I said quietly. "It just reveals who you were all along." Her tears fell before she could answer. I handed my valet ticket to the attendant, smiled politely, and walked out as the Aston rolled to a stop. The door closed with a soft click like a final chapter turning itself. The night air felt lighter than it had in years. As I pulled onto the highway, the city lights blurred into streaks behind me. Lucas called. "Bro, that was a movie. You didn't even raise your voice. and she looked like she'd seen a ghost. I chuckled. The quiet hits harder. He laughed. Everyone's talking about you. They can't believe how much you've changed. I didn't tell him that the real change wasn't the car, the suit, or the money. It was learning how to walk away without looking back. That's the part Tara would never understand. 2 days later, someone posted reunion photos on social media. There I was, standing by the car, shaking hands, smiling casually. The comment section exploded. No way, that's Gabriel Rowe. Tara must be losing her mind right now. He leveled up and stayed humble respect. I didn't reply, but I saw Tara's profile quietly deactivate that same night. She had built a story about me being the broke ex. Now the internet was writing a better one without my help. Sometimes you don't have to defend yourself. Truth has a way of trending on its own. Over dinner that week, Lucas said, "Man, I've seen you eat ramen for months, and now I'm watching you order steak without blinking. You earned this." I smiled. "You know what the best part is?" He looked up. "What? I don't feel the need to prove anything anymore. Not to her, not to anyone." He nodded slowly. "That's when you know you won, when peace feels better than applause." We toasted to that. In the reflection of the restaurant window, I saw myself not the old version who craved validation, but a man who'd finally outgrown pain. Weeks later, I ran into a mutual friend. He said Tara had quit her job and moved back to her parents' place. Apparently, Paul's firm was under investigation, and she'd lost almost everything. He showed me one of her last posts before deleting her account. "If you ever find someone who chooses love over luxury, hold on to them." I stared at it for a while. Once, that would have reopened old wounds. Now, it just felt like closure, written by fate. A year later, I attended another gathering, smaller this time, just close friends. Someone asked me, "Do you ever think about revenge?" I smiled. Revenge is loud, success is silent. When I left that night, the city skyline shimmered in the distance. I thought about Uncle Henry, how he never flaunted wealth, just used it wisely. Maybe that was his final lesson. You don't win by shouting about what you've become. You win by living so well that silence tells the story for you. I started the car, the engine humming softly under the stars, not to show off. Just to remind myself how far peace can drive you when you stop trying to be heard